When it comes to parenting and maybe stopping these issues of unrest, do you think it's the role of the parent, or is it the role of the teacher or the society? Because those are some of the things that Rose, Gaku, Safin and Sam were bringing out in their earlier conversation that we watched.
I think it goes both ways. It depends their bringing. If the parent is not bringing up the child in a good way, then you take your child to a boarding school and expect them to act well. It won't work. So the parent has to first start with the responsibility and with the life teachings first at home. Then when they go to school, that's when they can apply them well. So it goes both ways. It's a two-way traffic. That's my comment.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Asante sana.
Okay.
Well, Safin, Sam and Rose, as you can hear from the lady, she actually confided in me and told me that all her life she has spent in a boarding school. So the need to abolish, the debate to abolish boarding schools is something not here, not there. It's something that needs to be critically checked so that we can come out with a conclusive information that can be enlighten our society and can improve the way we live, not to destroy the way we have been. Because most of us have been a part of the system of boarding schools, so we know some of the things that undergo through the boarding school. So, and if you look at education itself, it's where you're providing an environment for a learner, somebody who needs to be molded in a particular way. So when you let them roam out there, then it becomes somehow a problem. So for now, I'm going to hand it back to you so that I get another person whom we can converse with over the next topic of discussion. So Safin, Rose and Sam, if you can hear me, then it's over to you in studio.
All right, thank you so much, Wycliffe Gorey, for that. And that is, you know, what we've been talking about this morning on trending topics. This is Good Morning Kenya, and this is the only way to start your morning, keeping you in the know on what's happening in our country, and even adding our voice on some of these issues that are shaping our headlines each and every morning. So right about now, we are about to start the family conversation this morning. We are talking about mentorship, and that will be coming right after this particular break that you're taking right now. Please don't go anywhere. We still have so much lined up for you in studio.
Picture-perfect, close-knit, beautiful family, an amazingly baronial mansion, a home filled with joy.
Who wants some cake? Okay.
But what becomes of the Dominguez family when their daughter, Elisa, goes missing?
Our Elisa's not here.
No one leaves here until she shows up.
The mystery and suspense unravels right in front of you. Where is Elisa? Coming soon on KBC Channel 1.
So you better hold me down, all the way down. You're going to lose me, hold me down.
cosmic hazard.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Let's start the conversation right now. We are talking about mentorship and we are focusing on the young people. There is something happening. Of late, we've been talking about the young people a lot, and I believe it's for a reason. This is the most important population in our society. If we do not take care of the young people, then we will not have any generation next. We will not have people to take over and, you know, run the world like it is right now. So we want to focus on, you know, how is it that you can be able to get somebody who walks with you through the journey of life. It could be any issue, career, it could be any issue, character, it could be something, you know, that you need in your life. So this morning, it's all about identifying those people that you can rest on their shoulder and be able to walk with them through this journey of life as a young person and achieve whatever goals you have for yourself. And how do you even get to know who is the right person that can be your mentor in life? And can you have so many mentors all at the same time? Well, this is some of the questions that I will be asking my panel this morning as we talk about mentoring the young people. I'm having a panel of 3. One of them already, you know him, but let me just introduce them this morning. Very excited about this conversation about young people. Let me start with Fred Abok. We know Fred Abok, a family counselor and a life coach, our resident counselor on the show. Thank you so much, Fred, for coming this morning.
So much.
Looking all good in
you.
A shade of blue and black. And you guys decided to do the African theme and you left me out of it, but it's okay. Then we have Nancy Wilson. We've had you on the show before. Yes, and you'll tell us a bit about how you have been and all that. But Nancy is a global ambassador of Life Ministries, does a lot of talking to young people, does a lot of writing, you know, to inspire and just to teach people life skills. Thank you so much, Nancy, for coming once again. All right. And then we have Isaac Kanyingi. Isaac Kanyingi is from across the world youth venture, also really passionate about the young people. Thank you so much, Isaac, for coming this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's talk about the young people. Let's talk about them identifying the right mentors. Let's talk about this issue, mentorship, what it means and all that, so that by the time we have this conversation and come to, you know, the tail end of it, a young person who is watching can know how to start this journey and why is it that they should even start thinking of being mentored if they are not in that, you know, space already. I always like starting with Fred to paint a picture, to paint a picture in the scope of, you know, the problem that we are discussing this morning. But I always like, you know, by every topic we talk about, Fred, I always like us to start from a point of looking at where we are as a society, looking at the gaps that we have, looking at, you know, some of the issues that personally you have seen, the trends that are happening right now, that can add as a clear sign that there is lack of proper mentorship in the society. What do you think are those gaps, those spaces that mentorship can actually bring into a solution?
Great. Thank you so much, Safin, this morning for having me here. I think when you're looking at mentorship and the status where we are right now, being in a position that we are discussing about the young people, it's important to understand that the age that we're talking about is an age that is on a crossroad. It's on a crossroad on 3 fundamental things. Number 1 is the issue of identity. They're looking on to be able to get to understand who they are and for what reason and what is expected of them. But of course, number 2 is the element of security. You know, where do they get on their space? Where's their inch into society? And of course, number 3 is the element of significance. What can they be able to do so that they can be able to be significant? So they're dealing with these 3 fundamental issues that if it's kind of a, you know, a void in them that needs a filling either higherly or at a par. So this one can only be filled on by mentorship. Right, they are in school, they are learning, they are coming on from a family, some of them have parents, some of them do have parents, but you know, they are looking at who are we really recognized? Am I the person that when I get out of myself, when I check myself on the mirror, and you know, if am I beautiful, am I accepted, you know, am I recognized, you know? And that's why, you know, young people, you know, they get themselves in drugs. They vent themselves in strikes. Why? Because they are looking on for significance. They want to be known. They want to be identified. They want to be recognized. And you know, why? Because in their mind, this is the only way out. they do not understand that there is another way of doing things. But also there are people who are existing who have actually gone through that.
Exactly.
And so that's what we want to look at this morning and get to understand.
Who are these people?
Who are these people?
And what role do they play? Where do you find them?
But also bearing in mind that they are actually also picking it from what they have seen happening.
Yeah.
You know, how do we get secure? If I want to be secure, how do I find it out? If I want to be significant, how do I find it? You know, if they see a parent who is wearing a skirt, who is even the devil meets them on the road and say, you know what, you're not one of us. What do you expect?
It's too much.
Yes, it's too much. So they say, oh, come on, if that's the trend,
Isaac, do you think we have those people, the ones Fred are talking about, the ones that can shape the young people and show them that, you know, the kind of group that you can be confident enough to speak to the life of a young person? Do we have them? Do we have like a number of them that is satisfactory?
Number one, as much as we may talk of our society having taken a different thread that can talk it's unethical, there are still very many ethical, good, displaying, successful mentors in this world and in this country particularly. But there is something we need to learn about mentorship. It's not an event. It's not like the way we do a camp for the youth or we do a conference for pastors. This is a long process. It begins from a very tender age. It's not something even as a parent the way you identify a dentist for your child. That's the way. That's not the very same way you identify a mentor for your child. It has to involve the liking of the child, has to involve the models, it has to involve the relationship. It's something that develops and evolves slowly. Just the same growth process happens. So, and that's how it becomes a little bit tricky. But we have wonderful people who are good mentors. We have got all the values and the virtues that our children would need, and they are around. But there has to be a relationship around those picking of the mentors.
And it's a process. It's not a one-time.
Yeah, it's a process. It's a long process.
We'll talk about that journey. I hope by the time we complete this conversation, we'll understand that journey deeper and how it should happen. But let's now start. Nancy, at what age, you know, or at what point do we find mentorship important? And how should we initiate, you know, that journey? In case you're a parent or a caregiver, or you're a young person probably, how do you initiate that journey of mentorship? What are some of the things you need to know as you start that journey?
Thank you, Sophie.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think it's pretty easy for us to know that the critical mentors in the beginning are parents.
Yeah.
But let's face the facts that some children are not in a home that provides that. And so I think ideally they're shaping their identity by watching their parents. There's a lot for parents to know about modeling. And students and children are really affected by what they see more than what they're told. So right there in the beginning, a lot of problems start if a parent is saying one thing and they're not really living it out. But this is where teachers come into play, and Isaac was talking earlier about his role, and he's been very involved in teaching and knows a lot about that profession. But I come at it from someone who I've never even been married, and I really have a heart for the youth all around the world. But what I see is some critical issues that can be met, even though there are gaps. And the biggest issue, I think, is really instilling the sense of hope and vision for their life. And this is where sometimes it's more than one mentor. But there's many people.
You can have several at the same time. So at what age is it appropriate to plant that seed of mentorship?
As early as possible, I really believe. But probably in the sense of after their basic needs are met, when they're starting to, as Fred said, their identity issues are coming into play. And this is probably more like as they're entering in 12 and 13, where they're trying to figure out really who they are. Because they've seen one thing, but they're beginning to sometimes push back from their parents to establish